Former President Donald Trump appears on the verge of a historic victory in the Iowa caucuses. The latest poll from leading Iowa pollster Ann Selzer has Trump at 48, followed by former South Carolina Gov. Nikki Haley at 20 and Florida Gov. If Monday night's final result reflects polling, Trump will have won the highest vote share ever for a non-incumbent in the Iowa GOP caucus. His victory isn't the only thing that matters, though. What matters most in the short term is the margin of victory and who finishes in second place. That's because, with voting lasting only 10 days in New Hampshire, expectations and whether candidates meet those expectations in Iowa matter. Expectations may seem like an immeasurable metric created by a group of experts. Not they. Expectations can be easily measured. It's about how a candidate is doing in polling based on recent polls. Polls in the Granite State show the race is close to Trump and Haley when you reallocate supporters of former New Jersey Gov. Christie, who dropped out of the race last week, to their second choice. According to the latest poll conducted by CNN, at this point, there are two variables that have historically best predicted New Hampshire primary results: New Hampshire polls and how well a candidate is doing compared to their recent polls in Iowa. This may seem a little strange, but it actually makes perfect sense. When someone exceeds expectations, they get good media coverage. The opposite happens when someone underperforms. Consider what happened in 2000 to George W. Bush, who currently holds the record for the best non-incumbent Iowa GOP caucus performance. He was unable to gain any advantage from this win because his margin over rival Steve Forbes was much smaller than expected. Bush would lose the New Hampshire primary by a wider than expected margin to John McCain, who was already ahead in the Granite State and unopposed in Iowa. 4 years ago, Patrick Buchanan nearly shocked Bob Dole at the Iowa GOP caucuses. Buchanan had one of the greatest Iowa overtime performances of all time. He later managed to make a comeback and beat Dole in New Hampshire. Neither McCain nor Buchanan has ever been ahead in national polls. But Gary Hart sided with the Democrats in 1984. Despite losing Iowa by more than 30 points to Walter Mondale, Hart outperformed pre-meeting polls and was able to parlay that into positive media attention. He then made a comeback in New Hampshire, won there, and the race was on. At this point, Haley is nowhere near the margin that Hart had by double digits in the New Hampshire polls. Even slightest overperformance by him or the slightest underperformance by Trump in Iowa could swing New Hampshire race in his direction. Haley's victory in the nation's first primary race will show that Trump is not invincible. He would then have a month to win the primary in his home state of South Carolina. However, it is also easy to imagine the opposite. Haley wants to turn this into a